Hey everyone, this is your Minion of the East, and this is my first review of a movie I just got back from last weekend from seeing. I should say that, whatever. Anyway, this is my thoughts and opinions on Captain America: Civil War, the recent Marvel movie that just came out, and the beginning of technically Phase 3 of the Marvel's movie lineup. This was a movie that's been hyped up for a pretty long time because, from what I heard, this was like one of the big events that happened in the Marvel Comics that split the heroes down the middle on what to do. I don't know much about the comics, so I'm not going to draw too much comparison from the comics to the movie. I'm just remarking the movie of what it is and sticking to what it is from there. And so, our last Marvel movie before this was Ant-Man. And Ant-Man was a goofy, funny, comedic action movie, and that was how it should be. And despite for what the advertising was trying to make it look so actiony, it was still a bit goofy. I think I put it like up there in one of the funniest Marvel movies they did, right next to Guardians of the Galaxy. Anyway, Civil War. There was so much advertisement put into this when I was looking into this movie that there was just like so much like saying like which side will you choose? It's like the whole Batman versus Superman thing, i.e. that movie sucked actually. I'm sorry. I did not like that movie. But the difference here is this movie was actually really good. Very good in fact. But wasn't as good as a follow-up after the fallout from Avengers 2. That's where it comes from. Because this is following up right after the events of Avengers 2, or more specifically Ant-Man, but I don't know how much people want to draw a parallel here, but it draws a big reference from after the events of Avengers 2 and Captain America: Winter Soldier. So that's what we're mainly focusing on right there. So, okay, before I continue ahead, I want to point out this is going to be spoiler territory, as this movie, as I'm going to review this, I'm going to be pointing out key events that happened in the movie, and that if nobody has seen the movie yet, I highly suggest and encourage you to see the movie first before going to see reviews, like one of my video here, or anyone else. Do that before you go see this video here and bitch about in the comments about why are you talking about spoilers and this guy about spoilers. I'll even put a video title saying spoilers when I publish this. Okay, but anyway. Final warning, spoilers. Alright, so this movie, like I said again, was a good movie. I do have a couple of nitpicks, but I'll get to those in a second. So our movie begins, we get to see Bucky again as the Winter Soldier. We see a flashback to a certain event in 1991 where he has to get some sort of serum to make super soldiers that were just similar to like him. And they were pretty much more advanced, but they were gone or haywire, and they were pretty much deemed too dangerous and were sealed away. So we cut to the present, and we see our current new Avengers that we were teased at the end of Avengers 2, that being Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon. I think. Sorry if I'm botching up the names here. I'm trying best I can. Scarlet Witch. Who else? Vision, although he wasn't at the beginning, but the main four that we see were Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon, and Scarlet Witch. They're in another country, I can't remember, Wakanda, which they have to stop a terrorist group from getting some sort of super serum, some sort of bomb, chemical warfare or whatever. And it's some soldier guy, I think that was from the last Captain America, that was part of Hydra, that was trying to defeat him. I recognize him as like one of the soldiers that was trying to take down Captain America. I could be wrong, and I have a feeling he's a major villain. So please leave a comment if I get anything wrong or if I'm missing something. So that will highly encourage. I'm trying my best to remember what I see on. It's been a couple days. I've been wanting to do this video a lot earlier, but I had a lot on my plate at the moment. So anyway, so he tries to blow himself up to take Captain America with him, but Scarlet Witch flies him up to the sky to try and get away from the general crowd, but in doing so causes the explosion to hit a nearby building, thus causing some casualties. Which pretty much devastates Scarlet Witch for her decision making, but Captain America reassures her that she was doing it on the fly to try and save him, and she couldn't think properly of what was going on. But because of this was pretty much the final straw for the government of how this happened, and Tony Stark as well was being partially influenced to do something about this, as he was approached by someone from the government. I think I'm trying to remember what she was, but she brings up the fact that in the Avengers 2, her son was killed when the floating city that Ultron caused crashed back down and killed so many lives. This is brings up a good point that I think some fiction has brought before, that the heroes doing more harm than good. That the point being that they might still be causing casualties. They're minimizing it, but it's very much minimizing the casualties, but not completely stopping them. And they bring up all the major events that happened. So it brings up the point: are you like Batman? They're like vigilantes working outside the law, and yet not have any safeguards to stop all this death from happening. So this causes a dilemma with the Avengers to come to an agreement with the government that they would be monitored and they would be told what to do and where to go for the government, and if they decide not to, they have to pretty much retire as superheroes and let the rest to do who they signed up for these accords will be doing the work for the government, but still keeping their superhero duties as the Avengers. So pretty much it's down half and half here, with one side representing Tony Stark's side, who's pretty much the leader for the Accords, with Captain America being against the Accords. So this is pretty much the major conflict of the movie: is who is in the right, Stark or Rogers. I'm sorry, what's his name? So anyway, so this is a pretty good setup right here. That for lack of a better term, neither side is actually wrong here. Because personally, I was in the right for Stark. Because while it is true that if you were to be monitored by the government and told what to do and what not to do in certain situations, you couldn't help like people in a certain country, but you have to be told to go somewhere else. That's understandable, but you gotta know with your own limits of what you're allowed to do, and could your actions be harmful to others around you. And that's what I personally believe in, that we sometimes need to be looked after. Not to the point of complete control, mind you. They're still given that freedom, I believe. I think that was referenced. But they still gotta know when not to do this, and know their own strengths can harm other people around them. So yeah, this causes a big dilemma. But before these accords could happen, a terrorist attacks the UN meeting, with the king of Wakanda being murdered as one of the casualties, and his son going after revenge of the guy who caused this explosion, who, what surveillance caught, appears to be the Winter Soldier himself, Bucky, as being the prime suspect. But as we cut around the movie a bit, we see some sort of foreigner. I can't remember what country he's in, but anyway, he's some sort of foreign guy. He's not given a specific region at this point, but he has some sort of motive and is looking into the project of the Winter Soldier from 1991. So he's pretty much looking for something that can be used. But as far as that goes, the audience is completely caught off guard. And I don't know if any of you caught this on the point, because I knew he was the villain from the start, but I just didn't know what he was or what he was trying to do. So at least there was a bit of tension. I was trying to figure out, like, what's he going to do that's pretty much the Civil War of sorts of the superheroes is pretty much the prime focus. So that's kept me thinking all the way through the movie. But anyway, we cut back to what happened. So the government's going to go all gung-ho trying to take down the Winter Soldier, dead mind you, but Rogers is trying to save him from getting killed. So in the end, there's a big chase scene happening, and we get our first introduction of Black Panther. And my impression of Black Panther is he's pretty badass. And from what I heard, he uses some sort of vibranium with his with his suit. And as it turns out, the Black Panther was the king's son who's going after the Winter Soldier as an act of revenge to kill him. So we got a bit of a motivation for our introduction for Black Panther right there. So we got our first scene. And we get a bit of exposition that the title of Black Panther is passed down from king to king as like a sort of hero. So luckily, Rogers and his friend, the guy who's Falcon, get off with a warning for doing this. And Stark's trying to convince him to sign the Accords again. But in doing so, Rogers is hesitant because this could also cause Scarlet Witch, who caused the explosion to begin with, almost be detained for what she's done, as also for her past of causing some acts of terrorism with Ultron back in the previous movie, so she might not get off scot-free. So that's going to be a bit of a cause for her right there for him being on the fence. But before that can happen, while Winter Soldier is detained, this foreign guy that we saw earlier in the movie comes in and enacts some sort of, I want to say, password of a sequence of words that triggers a mental state in the Winter Soldier to go and obey commands, as like in Russian, I think. I don't know what language it is. I could be wrong. I'm trying my best to remember here. So then he goes and kills a lot of guys in this military base, with again Rogers trying to save him. So he manages to escape, well, not before Rogers and Falcon hide him away. So they're now considered vigilantes and criminals for assisting an escape of a murderer. So he's wiped out, and we don't. But we do know he does reveal that the soldiers that were used in the 1991 project could be considered dangerous and reawoken again. And they figured that the foreigner guy who activated the Winter Soldier program in Bucky is going after them to bring these soldiers back to life and pretty much cause a worldwide apocalypse with these 5 soldiers. As it's stated, one soldier can infiltrate a country and take it down from the inside, which makes it pretty devastating right there. So then we soon find out that both sides, Stark and Rogers, are bringing together heroes to fight for their own side of the Accords. One side going for Tony to stop Rogers from helping out the Winter Soldier, and one side with Rogers trying to stop these assassins from happening. And he figures, like, why can he tell Stark? And he figures, well, he might not believe us, and it's just me trying to help my best friend. So here's how it goes. And I got something right here that I got at the movie theater when I came out with the movie. Is this poster right here? As you can see, it has the heroes on here. So yeah, Rogers has got Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Bucky, and Hawkeye. Sorry, I had to drop something. So yeah, we got those characters on against the Accords. And on Stark's side, we got Black Widow, War Machine, Vision, and Black Panther. And the two surprise characters that I don't think were that influenced until that advertised until much later when the trailers came out, like almost a month before the movie came out, was Spider-Man makes his first Marvel Cinematic appearance in this movie for Stark's side, as Stark convinces him to join them. Kind of like a spot on appearance right there. And for Captain America's side, they bring in Ant-Man, as it was referenced in Ant-Man's movie that Falcon tries to recruit him for the Avengers, or this could be a reference why he was going to recruit him during the events of Civil War. So that makes me think, like, did Falcon want to recruit him? Like, was this taking place during the events of Civil War? And I think, well, they planned that pretty well ahead. So anyway, that's a pretty good team up right there for both sides. Now, before going any further, I just want to bring out, like, Spider-Man's inclusion into the Marvel Universe. This has been the character that I think many of us have been expected to see in the Marvel Universe ever since the Fox reboot of Spider-Man fell through afterwards. So after Marvel bought back the film rights to Spider-Man, we've now got a confirmation that Spider-Man will be joining the Marvel Universe, and this is going to be our third Peter Parker. So we don't know who this Peter Parker is going to be like. As far as what first impression goes, he's going to be like the nerdy Spider-Man. So that's going to be pretty cool right here. So how do I think about this Spider-Man? So far, he acts pretty well. He's got the nerdy, wimpy personality. Like, he even says he's only been doing this for a pretty short time, and it's cool. It's pretty cool right there. He's got the right amount of screen time in this movie. He doesn't stay too long. He doesn't stay too short, like a short cameo. He stays as long as he needs to be, and he's got a little short scene at the end of the movie that I won't spoil. After credit scene, I will not spoil, because that's a big secret. I think that's a big secret that should be stayed in for the movies. Okay, so we both got our sides. So as Rogers is about to, they finally figured out the location where this foreign guy's going, and they found the location for this base that had the super soldiers. But before they could get there, Stark's team intercepts them, and this is the one point in the movie where we also saw in the trailers with them clashing at this airport. And by far, this is, I think, the best scene in the movie. Right here is that we've been built up to this moment for so long when the trailers came out, and I was thinking, wow, this is really cool. Hero against what they believe in. And I thought this was pretty cool. Each hero has their own chance to go up against another hero, and the action itself is cool. And we got a couple surprises here. Spider-Man finally got his chance to show what he can do in action, like a bit of a sneak peek of what he'll do in the future. Ant-Man comes in and shows up new technology, and he can now grow huge, and it's like, shit, I was trying my best not to scare the audience that's like, and just show, oh shit. So I was thinking, wow, I wonder how that's going to tie into Ant-Man 2 in the future, or in a future Avengers movie. But it does show that there's like this little wristband he's got on his suit right now that shows like this new technology that allows him to grow, and that was pretty cool right there. So the battle goes on. Eventually, Captain America and Winter Soldier get on this jet to go to the other country. This foreign guy's going to this base. But while Iron Man and War Machine follow them, Vision tries to shoot Falcon out of the sky, trying to stop them. But in doing so, Falcon dodges this beam, which hits War Machine and almost kills him, but paralyzes him from the waist down. So this was a bit of a shocker. Like, Tony's known this guy since the first Iron Man movie, and honestly, I thought he was going to die, and that would have been a really big tipping point for Stark right there. But that's a little later. So much time later, we go to the base that we've found out about the soldiers, and then while Stark is heading to this military base where he has jailed the former Avengers, he's now starting to see a bit of the fallback on this action, but he still follows through with what he wants to do. But he feels like he could do something right, as he found out that the guy who blew up the UN meeting wasn't the Winter Soldier, but that foreign guy. And he's figuring out, oh shit, I'm an idiot. Now, he manages to get the information out of Falcon so that he'll be able to go and help both Captain America and Winter Soldier, as he figures that's the least I can do. But as he gets to the base, we soon find out that the soldiers were all murdered by this foreign guy. As it turns out, this foreign guy, I'm sorry if I'm counting the foreign guy, I can't remember his name. He was only brought up once in the whole movie, so I'm sorry about that. It turns out he's been looking into this 1991 project because he was one of the citizens that was in the fallout of Avengers 2, as he lost both his wife, his child, and his father when the city fell and down back onto the country. And honestly, it's kind of sinister how just one normal guy was able to tear apart an entire Avengers. But it gets even worse. It turns out that the 1991 project that was hidden so well was the one who created the super serum was Tony Stark's father. Because it was brought up earlier in the movie that Tony Stark said that while his parents were going to go out to a vacation, they never came back or even went to the airport. As it turns out, they were attacked by the Winter Soldier back in 1991 for the super serum. And they were both killed. Like, the father was bashed his face in by him, and the mother was choked to death after the car crashed. And I was thinking, shit. Because, my God, that was very, very... And, of course, Tony goes off the deep end and tries to kill Bucky. But, of course, Rogers tries to find him. So it's Captain America, Winter Soldier against Iron Man. As Iron Man's now out for blood. And honestly, while the fight is cool and the conflict is understandable for both sides, I think the fight was a little bit underplayed, and this is more of like the literal Civil War battle between their ideals and what they're going for. Like, Iron Man's going for pro-government accords and is also doing this because to justify his means of killing Bucky now, and Rogers, Captain America, is doing this to help his friend from getting killed and try to come to understanding, but is against the Accords. So I think this is like what the big build-up was for this whole movie, and this is the climax. It's a little underplayed after the big fight we have, but I think it serves its purpose. So anyway, it ends up in a stalemate, but Captain America and Winter Soldier end up escaping, and Black Panther, who apparently managed to follow them at all the way out there, found out that, of course, Winter Soldier did not kill him, and decides to spare the foreign guy from killing himself. So he knows that revenge is not the answer. So in the end, Iron Man just goes on his business under the Accords, and Captain America and Winter Soldier both go into hiding with Black Panther, and it turns out that Captain America at the very end of the movie then decides to save all the Avengers. And that was Captain America Civil War. All in all, it was a good movie. It's a nice conflict that brings up the big dividing point with the Avengers on their ideals, and this will show. I think this will be the big build up for all of Phase 3, which will eventually lead into the Infinity War Part 1, I believe. So this is a good start for Phase 3, because we don't know where this is going to go from here. All I know is that I think the next movie is Doctor Strange, so we got that coming up in the fall of this year, I believe. So, and the after credit scene, like I said, I'm not going to spoil here. And the movie is good. I think the best parts of the movie, are the conflicts, the Civil War itself, between the ideals of Captain America and Iron Man. And the big fight at the end of the second act, I thought was a pretty good battle. Third fight's also good, with their conflicts coming into fruition, and Iron Man trying to justify his means of killing Bucky. But I think it's a little underplayed, but it still serves its purpose. Now, what do I think the rest of the movie? Like, what are my negatives about this movie? There's very little I have about the movie, but the villain himself, while he's a normal man, I kind of have hard to believe he went to all this trouble just to cause a rift between the two sides. It's understandable what he did from the fallout of Avengers 2, but after all these villains we see, we could have someone like more diabolical do this. It's a bit underplayed when you have someone normal do this. I mean, this is a Marvel movie. We would expect something a bit more comic book like we could have introduced a diabolical thinking villain that could have twisted this whole thing from the inside out, and thus we could have had the same impact. But the villain's not terrible, but he's very underwhelming from the rest of the Marvel villains we've had overall. What else? aside from Spider-Man, like he was the best cameo for this movie. Ant-Man barely got anything in this movie. Now, it is understandable that the last movie we had for Marvel was Ant-Man, so like, we shouldn't expect too much. But I would have expected him to be coming in as, well, almost the same screen time as Spider-Man, but he was very underplayed in the movie, aside from the rest of the cast. Him and Hawkeye, they were both pretty underplayed. And it can be a bit confusing at times of like what sides are trying to justify their means with the dialogue. And you could almost easily get lost if you're not paying close enough attention. So be wary when you go into this movie. For the second time, I'm assuming, since I don't know anybody who's going in spoiler free for this point. But yeah, it can get confusing at points if you're not paying close enough attention. But the CGI is actually good, but there are points where it can look a little fake. Spider-Man's suit is half and half, because you can tell there are points where the CGI for Spider-Man is very obvious, especially with the fight scenes. But it served its purpose at least. And the cinematography for the third fight could have been improved a little more. And the shaky cam is almost all over the place with the action scenes, and it can be very nauseous, but that's very nitpicky for me. But again, this movie was very good. And I highly recommend it to anyone who's willing to see it again. This is a really good start for Phase 3, and I think I'm going to see it again once this comes out, and I am looking forward to the rest of what will eventually lead to Infinity War. Anyway, that is my thoughts on Captain America Civil War. So, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please like it, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. And if you like this video, please leave a comment in the comment section down below of what you want me to react, talk about vlog, tips, tricks on my Fire Emblem Let's Play, and now, because of this video, what you want me to review or my thoughts on recent movies. So, until next time, this has been your Minion East. Until next time, take care, everyone.